Testing, all right. Hey, I don't know if we have the same definition of leadership. That was pretty funny. Thank you, Mrs. Dietrich, for writing that intro. I do owe her one for all the years that she had to put up with me. Good afternoon. I am Robert Knab. I graduated Liberty almost 9 years ago, which makes me feel really old. I got here in the first grade, all the way through graduation, which makes me the Legion of 12. I missed it by 1 year. Don't ask me how I sleep at night. It was after Liberty, I went on to CSU and then commissioned into the Air Force, and I've spent the last 5 years serving as a security forces officer in the Air Force. I was lucky enough to get to travel overseas and serve alongside some other real patriots by the definition that was read earlier. Me and my lovely wife, we just moved back here, and she owns the creperie, if anybody's ever been. I appreciate the free advertising. Emma, thank you. Shout out. What I'd like to start out with today is a little vocal exercise to get me going and to get you going, since you've been sitting in class for a couple of hours. So I'm going to say a word or a phrase, and I'd like you to finish it. It's not too hard. Peanut butter and? This is easy. Red, white, and? And that's my talk on patriotism. Thank you. Last one. Hakuna? Oh, we know it. All right. Hakuna Matata. I will save you my singing. I'm sure you're all singing it in your head now, though. Hakuna Matata, it means no worries for the rest of your days. It is a problem-free. You know what? Not bad. No, you're right. A problem-free philosophy. So if you don't know where this stems from, this comes from The Lion King, which is a Disney classic and a favorite of mine. Simba, the young lion, from the moment he was born, was heir to be king. His whole life, from a young cub, he was told that he was going to do great things and that he was going to be responsible, not just for himself and his family, and not just for the pride of lions, but you know, if you're the king of the lions, you're the king of the jungle. Whoa, maybe we don't know that. But Simba's father passes away unexpectedly at the hands of Simba's uncle, right? That's no good. So Simba had to step up. Even after his anointing, right? The scene we all know, it was Simba's turn to step up and take on that role. But he wasn't ready, so he ran away. He ran away and he ran into our two favorite characters, Timon and Pumbaa. They were essentially the hippies of the jungle, and they taught him their philosophy and their lifestyle of Hakuna Matata. They taught young Simba that if he just ran away, if he just avoided his problems, that he wouldn't have any, that he would have no worries for the rest of his days. And so Simba spends the next few years being like them, living in that philosophy of Hakuna Matata, eating bugs, laying in hammocks. My Hakuna Matata is not laying in hammocks eating bugs. My Hakuna Matata is the way that I decompress. It's watching sports, playing video games, eating croissants at my wife's bakery, right? That's my Hakuna Matata. And I'm sure if you're sitting there, you can probably think of your Hakuna Matata. Maybe it's scrolling through TikTok or YouTube or video games. And I'm not here to say that the things that you do in your free time to decompress is a bad thing. All of those things individually and for a certain amount of time, right, is how we get our energy back. It's how we decompress. But it's certainly no lifestyle. And if you use them, like sometimes I use my Hakuna Matata, like Simba uses his, if you use them as a getaway to avoid your responsibilities, well, I'm here to tell you, Hakuna Matata is not very patriotic, but it is a good song. According to Merriam-Webster's patriotism, and as was read earlier, patriotism is love or devotion to one's country, When you picture a patriot, you might picture Captain America. You might picture a president. You might picture the men and women in uniform that you saw up on the screen. If you're like me, you picture Mel Gibson holding the American flag, although that's from a movie called The Patriot, and please ask your parents if you can watch it before you do, so I don't get in trouble. I spent the last 5 years in the military, and I worked alongside a lot of patriots. People that were serving per the definition of Merriam-Webster, for the love and devotion of their country. Some of the greatest people that I ever met. And they're doing the toughest jobs in the world in really, really tough places today so that you can be here. But I am here to tell you that not everybody that I met in the military that donned a uniform every day was a patriot. Because patriotism is not what you wear. Patriotism is not a position that you hold. Patriotism is not an occupation. Patriotism is why you do the things that you do and what you're willing to do for the people that you love. I love my country. I love this country. But I don't love America like I love my wife. In English, we have one word for love, and that's love. But my wife and my country are not compatible. In Greek, they have multiple words for love. And the one for your wife and your spouse or your husband is not the same as the one for your country. Agape. Agape is a selfless love with a strong sense of devotion and loyalty. I agape my family, but I didn't choose my family. I was born into it. And you see, despite my family not being perfect, it's mine. And I would do anything to protect it, including die. And you didn't choose this country, just like you didn't choose your family. You were born into it, and it's yours. It's not perfect. It never will be, but it is yours. Sometimes you hear people say that if something happens, if somebody's elected or something doesn't happen, that they're going to leave the country. And they are cowards. Because you are this country. And they would be leaving you. I would never abandon this country because this country is not whoever's holding office. This country is not just a culmination of its history, good or bad. You are this country, present and future. And true patriotism is the devotion and loyalty to you and the things that you belong to. You belong to your family. You belong to this school, in this city, in this state, and you belong to this country. And despite how much that we have to grow, it's yours. And I would do anything to protect it. I would do anything to protect you. As we know, Simba ends up returning to his family. He brings Timon and Pumbaa, but he leaves the lifestyle of Hakuna Matata behind, and it was thanks to a friend, right? It was thanks to Nala. And that's a good lesson in and of itself, is that sometimes it takes a good friend to remind you of your responsibilities to fulfill who you're supposed to be. That maybe sometimes there's a little bit of time for Hakuna Matata, but it's not a lifestyle. Running from your responsibilities and who you're called to be is not a lifestyle. And so Nala, a good friend, and I'm sure some of you can think of your good friends right now, brings him back, and he takes on his uncle, and he conquers him, and he becomes king. When Mrs. Dietrich asked me to speak today, I almost said, Hakuna Matata. Why would I? I could be skiing. I could be playing with my dogs. I could be eating croissants at my wife's bakery. But I didn't. I came for two reasons. I came, one, because Mrs. Dietrich reminded me that I was a terrible student and I owe her. Touche, Mrs. Dietrich. And the second is that I believe in you. I believe that the best thing that you could do, not only for your country, but for your family and for yourself, is to be a patriot, is to take all the things that you learn, like temperance and fortitude and wisdom, and apply that to being a patriot for yourself and for your family and for this country. That doesn't mean you have to run for office. That doesn't mean you have to go put on a uniform and serve in the military. It doesn't mean you have to be an activist. If all your attributes and your belief in patriotism leads you to do those things, then God bless you. But you don't have to do any of those things because, like I said, patriotism is not an occupation. You can be a teacher and a student in this school and be a patriot, and I think you know that. Patriotism does not have a political party. It's why you do what you do and what you're willing to do for the ones that you love, for the ones that you agape. I love and believe in this country because I love and believe in you. And I love and believe in you because I love and I believe in this country. So please go forth and do great things in the name of your family, in the name of this country, and in the name of God. May He bless you. Thank you.